but he does not therefore think I am doing this. Welcome back. This is Buddhist Books Podcast, episode 301. You notice the 1 has one of those little wheels next to it. That means that today we're reading the Tipitaka. It's these maroon and gold books behind me. No relation to USC. It's just colors. Anyway, so this is Tipitaka part 196. We've been reading this for 196 episodes, and we're almost finished with the 4th book. So those who are good at math can estimate that we're going to be reading this for a very long time. It's been about 3.5 years since we started book 1. We also read other things here on Buddhist Books Podcast. If you're interested, here's an introduction video. And, okay, so we can assume that all the new people just left. So it's just us now. Welcome back. All right, so this is Mahavagga 10, part 4, in which we'll continue reading Mahāvagga 10. If you would like to start at the beginning of Mahāvagga 1, of course, here's the Mahāvagga playlist. And if you would like to start at the very beginning of this first book with the big 4 rules for monks, followed by the smaller 12 rules, however many rules of all the different tiers, all the way down to the minor infringements. Don't stand in the middle of the village with your arms akimbo. Don't look at people, those kinds of rules. For monks, it's not like rules for all Buddhists, Anyway, so the Tipitaka is here. You can click there. And, all right. So, I suppose that's all the preamble necessary. We can get back to the reading. So we're picking up right where we left off last time, and if I recall correctly, I usually like to, read until there's like a line break indicating that section is finished, but last time the section was going on, for quite a bit, so we stopped in the middle. So if you want to start at the beginning of just this section, here's Tipitaka 195, and then you can watch that all the way through and then jump directly into this one, and then it'll make more sense. Otherwise, here we go. Anathapindika, the householder, heard, quote, "It is said that the monks of Kosambi, ... are coming to Savatthi," end quote. So at the end of last time, everybody was finding out that the monks of Kosambi were coming to Savatthi. And anytime anybody was finding out and then asking Lord Buddha, how should we behave toward them, then they would appear in the form of a cartoon character on the screen, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not going to be doing that today. It took a lot of time. Okay, here we go. End quote. Then Anathapindika, the householder, approached the Lord. Having greeted the Lord, he sat down at a respectful distance. As he was sitting down at a respectful distance, Anathapindika, the householder, spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, "It is said, Lord, that the monks of Kosambi, ... are coming to Savatthi. How am I, Lord, to behave in regard to these monks?" End quote. Quote, "Well then, do you, householder, give gifts to both sides. Having given gifts to both sides, hear Dhamma on both sides. Having heard Dhamma on both sides, choose the views and the approval and the persuasion and the creed of those monks who are speakers of Dhamma." End quote. Visakha, Migara's mother, heard, quote, "It is said that the monks of Kosambi, ... are coming to Savatthi," end quote. Then Visakha, Migara's mother, approached the Lord. Having greeted the Lord, she sat down at a respectful distance. As she was sitting down at a respectful distance, Visakha, Migara's mother, spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, "It is said, Lord, that the monks of Kosambi, are coming to Savatthi. How am I, Lord, to behave in regard to these monks?" End quote. Quote, "Well then do you, Visakha, give gifts to both sides." You remember just now when Anathapindika said the exact same thing? Well, Lord Buddha is saying the exact same thing. Thus saith the Pali Text Society. Thank you, Miss Horner of the Pali Text Society, for replacing all of that with 3 dots so that we don't have to read the same thing again and again. Okay. Just leave it at that for today. Choose views, 3 dots, of those monks who are there, speakers of Dhamma, end quote. And for those who are new, Dhamma is the Pali word that in Sanskrit became Dharma. Tipitaka is the Pali word that became the Sanskrit Tripitaka. So you can pretty much figure that Sanskrit is Pali with some R's thrown in here and there. No, I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but continuing. Then in due course, the monks of Kosambi arrived at Savatthi. Then the venerable Sariputta, original Pali for Shariputra, I'll continue, approached the Lord. Having greeted the Lord, he sat down at a respectful distance. As he was sitting down at a respectful distance, the venerable Sariputta spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, "They say, Lord, that these monks of Kosambi, makers of strife, 3 dots, makers of legal questions in the order, have arrived at Savatthi. Now what line of conduct, Lord, should be followed in regard to lodgings for these monks?" End quote. Quote, "Well now, Sariputta, separate lodgings should be given, parentheses, to them, end parentheses, end quote. Quote, "But if, Lord, there are no separate lodgings, what line of conduct should be followed?" End quote. Quote, "Well then, Sariputta, having made some separate, they should be given. But I in no way say this, Sariputta, that a senior monk's lodging should be withheld from him. Whoever should withhold it, there is an offense of wrongdoing." End quote. That's the lowest level of offense, like standing with your arms akimbo and looking people in the eye. That's a wrongdoing. Anyway. Okay. Quote, "But what line of conduct, Lord, is to be followed in regard to material gains?" End quote. Those are 2 separate wrongdoings, by the way. Standing with your arms akimbo is one wrongdoing, and looking people in the eye, that's another wrongdoing. Like strangers, when you're a monk, walking around in a village in those days. Yeah. Anyway, you're supposed to keep your eyes one, like the length of a plow or hoe, on the ground in front of you while you walk. Anybody seen Kung Fu, the old show from the 70s? At one point he meets somebody who tells him to stop doing that. Look up toward the sun. Anyway, don't listen to that guy. Listen to Lord Buddha. Cain. Sorry, where were we? Quote, "But what line of conduct, Lord, is to be followed in regard to material gains?" End quote. Probably meaning here food and clothing. End quote. Don't interrupt me with a footnote for a probably, Miss Horner. Please. And thank you. With respect. Quote, "Material gains, Sariputta, should be distributed equally amongst all." End quote. Give even to those monks who disagree with the other monks. That it's the beginning of a schism. It's interesting advice that Lord Buddha is giving when he says, well, treat them all equally, listen to what they both have to say, and go with the one that has the Dharma. It seems like how to foment a schism, not how to prevent one. But That's how he's handling it. He's leaving it to each person's judgment. Each householder gets to decide which group of monks has the Dharma. Okay, I mean, seems rational, I guess, by our standards today, more or less. Then, while that monk who had been suspended was reflecting on Dhamma and discipline, it occurred to him, quote, "This is an offense. This is no offense. I have fallen. I am not unfallen. I am suspended. I am not unsuspended. I am suspended by a formal act." What? That monk who had been suspended? Oh, the original one that started this whole ball rolling. Okay. I think that was 2 episodes ago? Or we're on Mahavagga 10 part 4. That was Mahavagga 10 part 1. Okay. So back to the original monk that started this whole thing. I mean, yeah, basically, he was the one who they suspended, and he said no, and he went and got some friend monks and said, "Hey, they suspended me, I shouldn't have been suspended." And they were like, "Yeah, you shouldn't have been suspended." And then that was the beginning of this 2 groups thing. Okay, so where's this going? "I am suspended by a formal act that is legally valid, irreversible, fit to stand," end quote. Then the suspended monk approached those monks who were taking the part of the suspended one. Having approached, he spoke thus to those monks who were taking the part of the suspended one. Quote, "This is an offense, your reverences. It is not no offense." And that's a double negative in the sense that the 2 negatives cancel out, not a double negative for emphasis, like, it ain't no offense. You know, that would be, it's not an offense. But this is, it is not no offense, which is an awkwardly translated. Never mind. You get it right. Three dots, fit to stand. "Come, venerable ones, restore me." Okay. All right. So if he's suspended, then and he sees an offense, then he can be restored. But if he's suspended and he doesn't see an offense, then he can't be restored. Okay. I think I get it. 3 dots. End quote. "Then those monks who were taking the part of the suspended one, taking that suspended monk with them, approached the Lord. Having approached, having greeted the Lord, they sat down at a respectful distance. As they were sitting down at a respectful distance." Are these the monks that came from the monks of Kosambi? I'll keep reading. "As they were sitting down at a respectful distance, those monks spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, Lord, this suspended monk speaks thus. Quote within quotes. This is an offense, your reverences. 3 dots, 4 dots, actually. Come, venerable ones, restore me. And quote within quotes. What line of conduct, Lord, is to be followed in these circumstances? End quote. Quote, this, monks, is an offense. This is not no offense. This monk has fallen. This monk is not unfallen. This monk is suspended. This monk is not unsuspended. He was suspended by a legally valid formal act, irreversible, fit to stand. But since, monks, that monk who has fallen and was suspended sees his offense, well then, monks, restore that monk. End quote. Then these monks who were taking the part of the suspended one, having restored that suspended monk, approached the monks who had suspended him. Having approached, they spoke thus to the monks who had suspended him. Quote, concerning that case, your reverences, about which there was for the order strife, quarrels, contention, disputes, schism in the order, dissension in the order, altercation in the order, differences in the order. That monk has fallen and was suspended, but he sees and is restored. Now, your reverences, let us achieve unanimity in the order for settling this case. End quote. Then those monks who had suspended him approached the Lord. Having approached, having greeted the Lord, they sat down at a respectful distance. As they were sitting down at a respectful distance, they spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, "These monks, Lord, who are taking the part of the suspended monk, speak thus," quote within quotes, "concerning that case, for settling this case," end quote within quotes. "Now what line of conduct, Lord, is to be followed?" End quote. It's not much of a schism when both sides of the schism are going to the leader of the group, asking him to micromanage every little thing they do. Seems like not a schism. It is not a schism. Never mind. Quote, "Since monks, that monk has fallen and was suspended, but sees and is restored. Well then, monks, achieve unanimity in the order for settling that case. And thus, monks, should it be achieved. One and all should gather together, both the ill and the well. Leave of absence should not be declared on account of anyone. Having gathered together, the order should be informed by an experienced, competent monk, saying," quote within quotes, "Honored sirs, let the order listen to me. Concerning that case about which there was for the order strife, quarrel, contention, dispute, schism in the order," that's the worst part of all, is when there's 3 dots. Differences in the order. Okay, so they took out dissension in the order and altercation in the order, replacing it with 3 dots. Just make it a little shorter. Maybe the book binders were like, no, we can't have that extra line. Okay, that monk has fallen and was suspended, but he sees and is restored. If it seems right to the order should achieve unanimity in the order for settling this case. This is the motion. Honored sirs, let the order listen to me. Concerning that case, 3 and is restored. The order is achieving unanimity in the order for settling this case. If the achieving of unanimity in the order for settling this case is pleasing to the venerable ones, they should be silent. He to whom it is not pleasing should speak. Unanimity in the order for settling that case is achieved by the order. Dissension in the order is put down. Schism in the order is put down. It is pleasing to the venerable ones, therefore they are silent. Thus do I understand this. End quote within quotes. Observance may be carried out at once. The Patimokkha recited. End quotes, which means all the rules, which, having spent the past 3.5 years reading all the rules, the fact that they do it every half month makes me think that maybe there was a much shorter list back then. Anyway. Then the Venerable Upali, I know, I said we weren't going to, but there were a lot. You just have to trust me. If you weren't there, there were too many. I didn't say there was going to be none, but we've got one Tenzin from Legend of Korra and one baby Kermit. All right. Approached the Lord. Having greeted the Lord, he sat down at a respectful distance. As he was sitting down at a respectful distance, the Venerable Upali spoke thus to the Lord. Quote, Lord, in regard to a case where there is strife for an order, 3 differences for an order, if the order not having investigated that case, not having got to the root of it, achieves unanimity in the order, is that unanimity in the order legally valid, Lord? End quote. Quote, Upali, in regard to a case where there is strife for an order, 3 that unanimity is not legally valid, Upali. End quote. Quote, but Lord, in regard to a case where there is strife for an order, 3 differences in an order, if the order having investigated that case, having got to the root of it, achieves unanimity in the order, Is that unanimity in the order legally valid, Lord? End quote. Quote, Upali. In regard to a matter where there is strife for an order, quarrels, contention, dispute, schism in an order, dissension in an order, altercation in an order, differences in an order, if the order, having investigated that case, having got to the root of it, achieves unanimity in the order, that unanimity in the order is legally valid. Upali. End quotes. Quote, how many kinds of unanimity in the order are there, Lord? End quote. Quote, there are two kinds of unanimity in an order, Upali. There is, Upali, unanimity in an order that has not arrived at the meaning, but has arrived at the letter. There is, Upali, unanimity in an order that has both arrived at the meaning and arrived at the letter. And what, Upali, is unanimity in an order that has not arrived at the meaning but has arrived at the letter? Upali. In regard to a case where there is strife for an order, differences in an order, if the order, not having investigated that case, not having got to the root of it, achieves unanimity in the order, this is called, Upali, unanimity in an order that has not arrived at the meaning, but has arrived at the letter. And what, Upali, is unanimity in an order that has both arrived at the meaning and arrived at the letter? Upali, in regard to a case where there is strife for an order, differences in an order, if the order, having investigated that case, having got to the root of it, achieves unanimity in the order, this is called, Upali, unanimity in an order that has both arrived at the meaning and arrived at the letter. These, Upali, are two kinds of unanimity in an order, end quote. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and do correct me if I'm wrong. You were there. We were both there. Does that not mean that if they arrive at the letter but not the meaning, it is not legally valid, based on what he said just before that? Maybe there's some slight difference of phrase in what Upali asked the first time than what he asked the second time. Maybe this will explain. Then the Venerable Upali, rising from his seat, having arranged his upper robe over one shoulder, having saluted the Lord with joined palms, different salute, addressed the Lord with verses. Quote, in the order's affairs and deliberations, and in matters arising for investigation, what kind of man is most needed? How is a monk fit for leadership here? Above all, one blameless in moral habit, of careful conduct, his faculties well controlled. Opponents do not censure him in respect of a rule, for there could be nothing to say against him. Such a one, firm in purity of moral habit, is confident. He speaks ably. He is not afraid at an assembly. He does not tremble. He does not sacrifice the meaning to irrelevant talk. When asked a question in an assembly, he neither hesitates nor is ashamed. His timely, sensible words, fitting as explanation, delight the learned assembly. With esteem for senior monks and confident in his own teachers, able to weigh, familiar with what should be spoken, and skilled in obstructing his opponents. Opponents come under his control, and the many folk come under his tuition, and he does not neglect his own creed, skillful at question and answering, unhurting, able in doing a messenger's duty, well-informed in what they tell him of the order's affairs. Sent by a group of monks, he is obedient, but he does not therefore think, I am doing this. into whatever matters one falls, whatever is an offense and how one removes it. Both these analyses are well handed down to him. He is skilled in the features of offenses and removal. Being sent away and good habits, he goes by these. He is sent away, and what are the grounds? Restoration of a person who has completed this, he knows this too, skilled as he is in analysis, with esteem for senior monks, for newly ordained, for elders, and for those of middle standing, a helper of the multitude, clever herein. Monk such as this is fit for leadership here. The 10th section, that on the monks of Kosambi. What did that mean just now when I said the 10th section? That means Mahavagga 10 is finished. Almost. Almost. You know what's left? The key. I love the keys. They're so much fun. So the keys, for those who are tuning in, I'll go quickly for those who've been watching a long time. The key is like, okay, let's review. So Mahavagga 10, we've been reading for 4 episodes of approximately a half hour per episode. So 2 hours of me sitting here talking. Now I'm going to talk for, 15 minutes and summarize the whole 2 hours in phrases and sentences that don't really make a whole lot of sense. It sounds a little bit like gibberish, but they're like bullet points. Like if you were, taking a test or studying for a test and you wanted to memorize all the bullet points of something, and then later you're going to formulate it all into an essay, or you want to, okay, there was that, there was that, there was that, there was that. You're not going to recite the whole thing. You're just going to remember like Cliff Notes, right? So this is sort of like the Cliff Notes. Here we go. This is its key. The splendid conqueror at Kosambi dispute about seeing an offense. One may suspend for this or that. Whatever is an offense of his, it should be seen. Within a boundary, just there, 5, and only 1. Attainment, and Parilaya, Savati, and Sariputta, Kolita, Kasyapa the Great, Kakana, Kotita, and about Kapina, and Kunda the Great, Anuruddha, Revada, Upali. That was fun. For you on the audio only, don't worry about it. It's just silly. Ananda and Rahula too. Gotami, Anathapindika. We haven't made one for him yet. Maybe in the future. I'm not going to do it today. And Visakha Migara's mother. And separate lodgings. And equal material gains also. Leave for absence should not be granted to anyone, Upali inquired. Irreproachable as to moral habit. Unanimity in the conqueror's instruction. Finished is the great division. I was not expecting that. Not only did we finish Mahavagga 10, not only did we finish the 4th book of the Tipitaka, but we finished the Mahavagga section. Editor Edward.
Yes.
Hey, Editor Edward. Editor Edward is me, and a little bit in the future. How are you, Editor Edward?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
That's good. That's good. Could you tell us the date that we began reading Mahavagga?
We began reading Mahavagga on January 4th of 2024.
Wow. And today is, of course, December 18th, right? December 20th? So how long have we been reading Mahavagga?
Just for the people in the future, to clarify, he being me, I meant when I said that it's December 20th of 2025. So 15 days from now will be 2 years since we began reading Mahavagga. So it took us 1 year and 350 days. Basically 2 years minus 2 weeks and a day.
Wow, what a thing. What a thing. So now that we've finished 4 of the 6 books of the Discipline Basket, which is the way we're reading it, the first of the 3 baskets, we are officially 2/3 of the way through with the first basket. And maybe it'll only be another year and 3/4 before we finish the Discipline Basket and get to the teachings of pre-sectarian early Buddhism. We decided to do it this way, just to kind of like eat our meat before we get to our pudding. That's assuming that we like the pudding and we don't like the meat, which is, well, I don't want to. Anyway, enough about that. So this is very exciting. I wasn't expecting today to be like a monumental episode. The very last episode on the Mahavagga playlist that I pointed to earlier and is linked below in the description. I was just thinking, oh, it's another Tipitaka episode. All right. That's amazing. It's amazing. Okay. Well, Pio and I and some friends and family are going to be out and about for a couple of weeks, but we are going to keep going, maybe not as frequently, a little less frequently, but you will see me again. But the next time you see me, it won't be reading Mahavagga. It'll be reading this 5th book, not this 4th book. And I won't be sitting here in front of my bookshelf, but I will be wearing this Nyingma Nagapa shawl. And I'll be somewhere else. Somewhere I haven't been. All right. Okay, thank you for being here. Feel free to say hello. And, in the comments below, feel free to like and subscribe. And I will go ahead and do our usual closing that we do here on Buddhist Books Podcast. And I look forward to finding out. I'm not going to peek ahead. I'm going to find out after you do, because you'll see the title of the episode and you'll already have an idea of what we're reading before I do. Before. Never mind. I'll just go ahead and close out. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.